All right. So I think we're ready. So Marcin, if I said that correctly, thank
Yeah,
you so much for joining me and taking
no,
your time. I know it's evening there.
yeah, yes, it is, and thank you for having me. It's an honor.
Yeah. So why don't we start for those who aren't familiar with you, because I know CG Project Red it's on the other side of the world, and then on top of that, it's some distance there in Poland. So we don't get you guys out and vocal as often as I'm sure people would love to hear from you. But tell me about yourself and just what you do right now.
So my name is Marcin Klicki, and I'm working right now at CD Projekt, and I'm senior character artist there. And we are working right now on the Cyberpunk. So we finished The Witcher, finished the expansion packs, and now we are moving to new IP.
So how did you get into this? What were some of the things that what was your education like? Let's start there.
Okay, so I don't have traditional background, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
I'm more like self-taught guy. I was sitting like for I don't know, maybe on when I was 15, maybe 14. My friend give the program to me, and actually he lied to me a little bit because he showed me a couple of images and told me that uh, his brother did it, right? And I was like so amazed by this couple of images that I just want to do it. Like I loved, I like fall in love in for these images, and I was like thinking that okay, it wasn't that hard when his brother did it, right? And he gave me 3ds Max. It was 1.0. It was or 1.1. It was first Max that was actually working on the Windows 95, right? And I went back home, and you know I launched this program, and it actually wasn't that easy. I was only able to create the teapots and other stuff. It was but back then we in Poland, we didn't have internet in every house. So I was like thinking how to get some knowledge about creating this kind of let's call it art, because it was actually after a couple of years I seen this images one more time, and we got like demo scene in Poland. So couple of guys was actually able to do it in some kind of program, and it was like amazing art form. Okay, and I was like thinking, how can I get some tutorials or some knowledge about 3ds Max and how to create the pieces like this, right?
Mm-hmm.
And this is how it started actually.
That's who did you find out who the artist was that created the work?
To be honest, I don't remember the names,
Yeah.
but it was like I don't know, 15 or 16 years ago.
Wow, that's such an awesome story. So you got tricked into it. You set your expectations totally different. You're like, this is easy. I know this guy.
Yeah, yes, exactly.
and and then that suckered you in until you got addicted, and then you were able to just kind of move forward. I love that.
Exactly. This is more or less the story. Because after this, I was trying to, find like different programs,
Mm-hmm.
and I downloaded because I was also having little problems with my hardware in my house, because in 90s it was hard to get new PC because it was so expensive to have one, right? And I was thinking about how to do like modeling stuff, but not using 3ds Max or like more advanced programs. So I found Wings 3D. It's actually like Nando or Mirai kind of a program. It's freeware program, and I was like modeling in this program for like 5 years, and it's super awesome, and it's free even for commercial use. I think it's still developed, but you need to check it, but because I can be wrong.
Nice.
But I think it's still developed.
Yeah, that's great. I love that. So when did you start with CD Project Red?
And it was almost almost 5 years ago. Yeah, because in June it will be 5 years. And it was in the start of the pre-production of The Witcher 3.
And what were you doing before you went to CD Project Red?
I was working in Platiji for also like 2 or 3 years. I was doing mostly advertisements, a little bit of cinematics, but a couple of years ago it was like the cinematics was like, I don't know, one per year, and most of the time I was doing adverts. So I wasn't happy what kind of stuff I was doing in my job, right?
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to do more characters, and I was trying to do them for like 10 hours per day, right?
Yeah.
Because if you are like working and you are not doing the characters, it's hard after work to get to home and still sit for like 6 hours just to develop your skill more. So you need to think where you want to go for the first job. To be honest, this is like my golden rule. If I ever will be if I ever going to change my job, I will be thinking about not the money but the project, right? If in the new place I can develop my skill more, right? This is like golden rule.
That's
The
awesome.
money is on the second or the third place, because
Yeah.
you can always do like commission jobs after hours. So you can always have money if you are like if you're good at doing your job, right?
Yeah. And on your art station, do you have some of your older work, or is it all just your awesome work?
Okay, so I got couple like older works.
Mm-hmm.
So this guy, I did it in Wings. He's modeled it in Wings,
Yeah.
and I did him in 2006 probably. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I think so. Yeah, I think it's the piece from 2006, and yeah, this is the first of the older things that I did. I actually did it for a contest on the Polish side. There was Polish side called max3d.pl,
Mm-hmm.
and they created a little contest to be honest, I don't remember uh, what was the topic, but still, I did like I was trying to do a caricature, and I did something like this, and also I got this guy. I just created him after hours just for fun.
Mm-hmm.
And I think those two guys are like um, from my, I don't know, earlier works, and this guy also, and I think it's that. I'm thinking, where do I have my like old works, but it will be hard to find them right now.
Yeah.
So
No, that's
sorry. Maybe next time I can like prepare myself better. So sorry about it.
no. This is perfect. It's good to see. I want to see where people start and get a sense of things, so we can see in 2006, which is like about 11 years ago. And then how you progress and go from there. So, in your view, what are some of the important things that people need to be able to do the job that you do? So, we're looking at your work, and it's easy for somebody who's looking at this to feel kind of flustered because they haven't put in those 10 plus years that you put in, right? But what are the things that somebody needs to really focus on to be able to get to the level where you're producing this work? Like, let's take, for example, the second box in the upper left. So the guy who's got the chainmail piece. Yeah, Witcher 3.
Okay, so for me, when somebody would ask me and he don't know anything about like modeling or something, right?
Mm-hmm.
About a couple of tips for starters, right? So I would rather say that don't think about what you really like to do. Dinosaurs, or uh, or you can be in love with characters or cars or I don't know, different things. Do what you love, right? This is like first thing. Just okay. It's normal that when you start doing your stuff, it will not be that good, right? But it's easy to when you are new to something, it's easy to gain skill because the first couple of months is your skill level is always going up day after day, and it's easy to and it's visible. Even if you do like one piece of model per day, right? And you're doing it for a week, and after this week, when you open your models, you see that you did big progress, right? After a couple of years, the progress isn't so visible. So, like, first of all, just sit there, do what you love, and try to do as many things as you can. So don't focus only on one piece, because when you are focusing on one model, the most important things are not details, not the how many things you have on the model. It's proportions, right?
Mm-hmm.
So when you are starting many times your characters, right? So you can work only on proportions, even if even if you feel that you can push your model even further, right? Do another one, because don't think about portfolio for the like first couple of months. Just think about developing your skills. So don't think about your portfolio and what you are going to do when you will have one, and which studio you will choose. Just don't worry about it. It will come naturally, right? So first, just try to do as many things as you can. So if you love cars, do 4 cars in a month or something like this, because I think it's harder to do cars, but I'm not so I don't have many I don't have much experience in it. So okay, but if you are doing characters, okay, you can do like for 2 weeks only faces, like every day one face, and don't use like 2 hours per day, right? After your work or school, just go. You are coming back home, starting the ZBrush, and you are like treat it like going to the gym, right? Just do your exercise, and after this, don't think about it. Just do your screenshot, open folder, save it, and do another one, and another one. You will see how fast you are progressing, and when you see that you actually are that you are progressing fast, you will have more power to do more things, right? So when you're starting, speed sculpts for me, I think, are the best. But after maybe a couple of months, when you will feel free and you will know that you know how to do stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
You can go a little bit further, right? Try to finish the characters, and it will be hard because you will know how to create proportions, but you will not know how to create details. But details are less important, so even if they are not good, but proportions are good, the character will be good. Okay, so this I think those are 3 or 4 most important things to me, actually.
That's great. That's a really good point. So when you're beginning 2 months or you're beginning 2 months or so, progress is very visible. So it's wise to just keep focusing on 1, 2 things. Speed sculpts or something that you recommend. But then after that, when you start to grow, would you say that the growth really starts to slow down and you start to improve, but you're improving on
Yeah,
smaller things?
yeah, exactly,
And so it
exactly.
becomes, it's still 2 months of growth, but you're on, instead of on the big things that make a difference, like proportions, you're focusing more on just understanding like the muscle groups of an arm.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, that's great.
because because when you want to do the arm and the proportions are bad, even if you create the fine detail and you will know every muscle group where the attachments are and where they go, the hand will always look bad.
Got it. And how important is anatomy? And this is actually a two-part question. It'd be, how important is anatomy to the process of being a character artist for you?
thinking about it lately. So you need to know anatomy. You need to know, just like you need to have tablet, right? Like vacuum or something like this. You need to have book for anatomy, right? But also, it's when you are browsing the book, right, and looking on the different pictures, it's sometimes hard to know what are you looking for, right?
Mm-hmm.
So there is good book actually, Paul Richer's Anatomy for Artists, that book with the red cover. I can recommend it for everybody. This book is awesome. I think it's Paul Richer's, but I can.
Yeah, he's considered the father or one of the fathers of modern artistic anatomy.
Yeah, that's true. After a couple of years, when you are studying the anatomy, okay, so anatomy will have a big impact on you. You will notice every little bug that somebody is doing, right? And also, when you know anatomy, your shapes are better because you know more or less where the muscles are and how they should look, right?
Mm-hmm.
So here I was thinking about human anatomy because this part of the hand from here to here is human hand, right? But I did a little mistake with this because this should go here on the like outer side of the hand. But okay, I did it wrong, and I was just hoping that nobody will notice. And for now, nobody noticed. So I think people are thinking that it's okay. Okay, so okay, but anyway, I was thinking that this here should be triceps, biceps here, and accessors here, right? But when you're doing creature and you start to think only about the muscles and how they should look, and you will always think about human anatomy. For me, it's a little bit into the cage because you will never try different things, right?
Right.
And I think sometimes it's better to do something less anatomatic, less correctly, okay? So less correctly, but try to more think about primary shapes or forms, right? So sometimes it's better not to do something correctly from the side of anatomy, right? But you can fake it by modeling things that shapes are convincing, or maybe this is a good way to explain it better. This is something that will never probably ever exist in the universe, but still, you just need to think what you want to do. Like if you want to try new things, you shouldn't think about anatomy that much. You should think more about forms.
Yeah, I love that, and so it's not necessarily going to exist, but it should, and I think that's really important. This idea how we can sometimes create in captivity. It's like we set our own rules, and then we just live within that little prison while we're creating. So,
Yeah,
if I understood you correctly, anatomy is important in terms of
it's
muscle
very important.
groups, but it's also dangerous in that you get locked into things.
Yeah, this is exactly what I have in mind. Sorry about my, and that I don't have these things like set up in my mind correctly. But it's sometimes hard to me when I'm overthinking my sentences and I want to say something too correctly, but
It,
it's like
yeah, this is great. But now, if we look at a traditional character, because this is one of the questions that I've had, especially from my people who are character artists in the character artist boot camps or in one of the classes, like Jason Martin. There's a lot of creature work in the character artist. So if we go back to one of your characters, like we can go back to that female. I think your female is on there. The questions really become how important is anatomy for a character, like that's not going to be creature but character, given that somebody is usually starting with the base mesh and that the model is usually covered with clothing. In my experience, I'm considered a bit of an expert in anatomy, and I know a lot
Yeah,
of
I know.
the muscles and bones
That's
and all of that. But I do not consider it as essential for people to get at my level for them to do character work. Because also, as you were talking about, studying anatomy creates its own prison. And if we look at a lot of the teachers who do teach anatomy, many of them just teach and just do anatomy because it becomes its own ecosystem and world. And so it prohibits them from creating full characters, things of that nature. So the question is, when you're creating characters like this, if somebody's just starting out, I want to be able to say, okay, so anatomy is the thing that you got to focus on the most, or anatomy is just one of the things you focus on, but you also got to understand clothing. You got to also understand props and boots, and how all stitching and seams, and how leather is different from cotton. Like, how does anatomy fit into that, all of the stuff that you have to do?
So you need to know anatomy. This is the first thing, because even basic things, you just need to know. This is this is the things that completing you more as a character artist, right? Because you will able to do more things. You will not only do the clothes, you will not only do the cars or something. You can do all the things, whatever you want. You can, when you know how to draw, and if you are thinking about going and be a character artist, it's the second thing after you decide that you want to be character artist. You need to take pen and paper and start to draw, even 10 minutes per day, because you don't need to be master in it, but after like 5-6 years you will be drawing more or less the things that you got in mind. And always think about it this way, that it's quicker to draw something and train your eye than create the whole character. And after you create the character, you will see all the things that you did wrong, right? But when you do quick sketch, you will always know where the things should go, okay? And this is exactly the same thing with the anatomy. Anatomy helps you even look at the references, because sometimes when you're doing the facial portrait or something like this, you need to know what what do you see on the reference. Sometimes you got very bad pictures, right? I know that the scans are going to be more and more in our industry, but still, if you want to do a portrait, right, you need to know how to look at the references. You will never see everything on the reference. You need to feedback the reference with your anatomy knowledge, right? So if you are looking at the eye, you know where is orbicularis oculis, right? And you know more or less why something looks like on the reference, because so there is more fat somewhere and other things. But the second question, yeah, in the games, probably most of the time you will do characters in the clothes. Most of the time look different than the characters that are finished and ready to be exported to the game, because we are always adding a little bit from ourselves. So, you need to know how to do something a little bit better than it is in the concept, to be like a little bit better and have something from our heart, right? And sometimes people that are doing concepts are not thinking about how the stitches should be, where should stitches should be, or how the belts should be finished or something like this. So you need to know it, and you need to do like research and learn many different things. So anatomy is one of these things, but the creation of the clothes is the second thing. But it's not like that you can be character artist without anatomy knowledge, or do the cloths without having base mesh. But it's true that that most of the time we are doing the base mesh models at the beginning of the game, and we are always using the base meshes, and then we are only changing the faces, and that's it.
Got it. Okay, great. That's a great answer. So it's an essential skill, and in many ways just becomes the foundation. Now, that doesn't mean that at every level of the different game jobs that are out there, you need to master it at the same level. But at this level that you're working at, CD Projekt Red on Witcher, understanding, let's say where all the muscles insert, where they originate from, the landmarks, this is all stuff you consider essential info. Okay.
Also, you need to know it, because without it, you will not grow as quickly as with this like traditional stuff in your head.
Yep, got it. Great. Mohammed's actually asking a question that I think might be good to ask right now while we're looking at this. He's asking, do you hand sculpt the clothing in Witcher, or do you guys use Marvelous Designer?
Okay, so at the beginning, we were only sculpting the things, right? But after a while, we start using Marvelous Designer to create the designs, right? Like here. The top is hand sculpted, but the bottom is simulated in the Marvelous Designer. And I think that I'm actually the last guy who was hand sculpting the stuff, right? Other guys are already switched to Marvelous, because it's much easier to create just awesome clothes. But I was like, when I was doing the clothes, I was always thinking about just to be better in modeling the faults. So every time I can use it to exercise my cloth skills. So I rather do it by hand than simulate. But now we are trying to simulate all the fabrics, because the effect is a lot better than when you do it by hand.
Got it. And
unfortunately.
You're an old school guy.
That's a little bit, yeah.
Yeah. And when you're working in Marvelous, are you trying to do everything in Marvelous? Do you take some of it and do extra sculpting inside of ZBrush to kind of take it to the next level?
Yeah. So the workflow now is that we are getting the concept art from our concept art team, right? And when we got the concept art, we are doing the proof of concept, something like this. You can also say that it's like prototype or something like this. So we are doing like quick sketch with everything on the character in ZBrush. So the proportions are set, and more or less you got whole character, but like on the sketch level, right? But you can see the proportions, you can see how the character has like good volumes, right?
Yeah.
So if it's big enough or is it too small, so we can change and think about changing some things at the sketch level. And after this, most of the stuff that have cloths are going to Marvelous, and now I think it's 80% of the stuff.
Got it. Okay, so 80% of it stays in Marvelous Designer. Is that accurate?
Yeah, that's true. Okay. After this, we are adding the hands and doing the head, but still after Marvelous Pass, right?
Yeah.
After a Marvelous Pass, when we finish like simulating the cloths, they are going still back to the ZBrush. We are doing new topology for it, and we are finishing adding a little bit of alphas there to be more realistic and more rich, right? So, but still, most of the cloths are done in Marvelous, but still we are using ZBrush on it. So it's not like clear Marvelous, right?
Got it. All right. And do you have any topology? Because I think topology would be a good thing to show them as well. But we can start with Amy Ash's questions. He's asking, how long do you spend on a character like this? And of course, you know, that question time is always very important to people who are learning, and
Mhm.
really just trying to judge the, you know, where they are in the process, you know.
Yeah, okay.
But
So
but also if you could just speak to how the time is also affected by production and by other people and their and what they need to give to it as well.
let me think. Okay, so I will show you two pieces and I will tell you the extreme times. Okay. So this guy took me from the beginning to the end 2 months, right? Because I'm not doing only. I know that if you are looking at my portfolio, right, you're only seeing the sculpts, but we are doing all the stuff from the beginning to the end. So we are doing the textures, skinning, exporting, materials, everything from the beginning to the end. So if you are doing, if your lead is giving you the character, you are doing the whole character from the beginning to the end. So this guy took almost 2 months because there was so many different problems with this guy. Um, because I finished it after 1 month, more maybe a little bit more, because the monsters are special and got more time because we are not doing exactly what we got in engine. So this guy took me 2 months from the beginning to the end, and I actually finished it 2 days before the game shipment.
Oh wow.
And it's for the first expansion pack. And I was so stressed out because he was crashing the game on the PS4 because he got too many textures on him, right?
Mm-hmm.
And she took me 1 month, maybe 1 month and a couple of days, because you can. It's easier to predict how much time you need for the character, right? And it's harder to predict the time that you need for the monster, because here I actually did this model. I did twice because the concept changed in after 10 days of the work. So first of all, I created the mid-level character, and the concept was changed because the story changed with this character, and she was a little bit more girly, uh, because earlier she had full body armor and other things, and people from the gameplay decided that it's not what we are looking for. So she took me 1 month, but 10 days was taken off because the first character was changed.
Mm-hmm.
And we are always doing mid-level characters, so other departments can already start work after like 3 or 4 days. After 3 or 4 days of my work, the other department can start working on animations and other stuff already on the blockout character, right?
I was going to say, Joey's asking, the whole character, does that also mean rigging it? Somebody else is rigging these,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, we are.
Or are you doing it?
When we have a character like men and women, right?
Yep.
We got default skeletons for it, so
Yes.
I'm skinning it.
Got
I'm
it.
doing the first pass of the skinning. So if we got something that is more difficult to skin, like shoulder pads, I'm giving it to our technical artist to do second pass of the skinning and do it like perfect, right? But yeah, I'm doing the first pass of the skinning
Got
of
it.
the character. And I just want to go back to this guy
Mm-hmm.
because I got so the rig was a little bit um, hard to set up, and after this we decided to change the shader on of the character, because first pass was something like this, and the second pass was the guy. We did change it to skin shader,
Mm-hmm.
but the skin shader was so expensive, and taking like almost killing the PC, right? So we decided to create another shader for it, and it was a custom shader. That's why it took almost 2 months to finish this guy.
Mm-hmm.
Also, I got animated GIF, but I cannot show it. So maybe later I will just find them or something.
Cool. Yeah, we can share that with people after this. So to get back to the time then, 2 months, 1 month, but of course there's variations and things that affect it. So the design changed after 10 days. And in terms of the frog, there's also the optimization phase, which comes in. If it's killing the game, you got to go back and figure things out.
Yeah.
So I understand that. That makes a lot of sense. Now, what about topology? This is one of the things that people really get worried about. Is topology something that you establish from the beginning, or is it something that evolves over time and you're constantly adjusting?
We got the same topology for the faces because all the faces are morphing in each other.
Yep.
And main characters and secondary characters, and also crowd characters if we are talking about the body. Like cloths and different like boots or trousers. Every part is different, and also every creature has its own energy. But topology in games is ultra hard topic. Like it's you need okay, or maybe I will say it in this way: don't think about it. Just because you need to do like, I don't know, 20 low polys after you will like couple of models that you will finish. You will like start to understand how to create your low polys like better and more accurate. And after because after you will start to uh, after you will start baking the models, you will see where you did a couple of mistakes. You will see it in the moment, because you will see that if you have I don't know, rope, the rope will not look like rope. It will look like black rope because the low poly isn't in the exact same spot that your high poly is. So when you're doing high poly models, don't think about topology. You can use Z-Remesh, you can use also Dynamesh. You can do whatever you want. You need to after, but if you're doing low poly, you have budget for your character, right? Your lead will say you that you have like 20,000 triangles for the model, okay? And you will say, okay, 20,000 is a little bit low, but I will try to do it in the 20,000. Of course, you are starting from the most important things of your character. So if you are doing, I don't know, creature that you will be able to talk with, right? So you will spend most of your topology, like most of your poly count for the face and the area of the face. So maybe like, chest and neck, and the face would have, you should use most of your polygons there, right? And, boots, not so much, because probably camera would never, you will never see the boots. So you are always thinking about which part of your model is the most important, right? And I think this is the tip I can give you, because after you will create a couple of models, you will see how you should change something or do something differently to have a better result. And this is the perfect way to just learn it quick. Just do it a couple of times, and that's it. It's not hard. It's not hard.
Great. So there's a high poly phase, then there's the low poly phase. When you're in the high poly phase, Z-Remesh, Dynamesh, like it doesn't matter. Your goal is to make it look good, right?
Exactly.
And then
exactly.
when you're in your low res, this is something where it takes a while to get familiar with the proper processes. So how much do you expect somebody who's coming in, like if you're going to hire, let's say, a junior character artist or somebody who you feel might be a fit for the company, are you looking for them to have better sculpting, or are you looking for them to understand topology and have better topology? Like, is it more technical that you're looking, or are you looking more at the artistic side of what they can do?
No, we never look at the technical things. We never look at it because you can easily learn them,
Got
right?
it.
It's like 2 weeks and you know how to do it, because you will have like constant feedback from our lead or from the seniors or from the other people. But if you don't know how to model things properly, you will not be hired. I'm 100% sure. So we are only looking for portfolios that are, really, really good. And we are not talking about the technical things. Even if somebody, okay, even if because most of the guys that are applying to for the job, right, are getting the demo. No, it's not demo. It's test, more like art test. Okay, so it's art test, and you got like 2 or 3 weeks to do it, and actually you need to send pictures of what you got. So most of the time nobody is looking at the technical stuff. So if the model is looking very good, you probably will be hired.
That's
And
great.
I think most of the companies are doing the same, because it's easier to teach somebody technical stuff than to teach somebody how to create good models, right? Because you need to couple of years of training. You need to invest more time in modeling skills than technical skills.
Understand. All right. And by modeling, you don't mean topology. You mean just making it look like that's chainmail, making
Yeah,
it
of
look like
course, of
that's,
course, of course.
okay,
I'm
right.
picking about the sculpting skills, and especially the sculpting of the face.
Awesome. That's
We are,
great.
yeah.
Yeah. It's a powerful
So
thing for you to say too, that you never look at the technical. Like there's no debate. We're never looking at the technical. The primary thing is can you sculpt? Can you model? Can you make this look real?
yeah, exactly.
Great. So along those lines, then, if we're looking at either the male or the female character here, one of the questions, one of the debates people have is, how are they creating the armor and the pieces? So, are you creating these metal armor pieces and these belts and buckles and all of that stuff? Are you doing these all inside of, say, some polygonal modeler? Are you looking for these to be done as efficiently as possible, or are we just kind of slapping it
Mm-hmm.
together with some extractions in ZBrush? What level are you working on when you're doing this?
Most of the things are created inside of the ZBrush,
Yep.
but when you have stitches and the things like here, and you need to do them without any like bigger distortions, right?
Mm-hmm.
You are adding them in the 3ds Max by splines. You are selecting the spline. You are creating the spline here, and then you are preparing the stitches and then adding the stitches to the spline, and that's it.
Okay.
But this metal plate is created inside of the ZBrush. So most of the things we are doing in the ZBrush.
Okay, got it. That's great. Okay, so guys, we're about out of time, so make sure your questions coming up. And let me start. I've got a couple more questions here for you, Marcin. We have Mohammed is asking, are skin shaders expensive for overall characters or just for that frog monster?
No, it's very expensive for the all of the characters, because skin shader it's forward shader. So if the so okay, in the long story short, if the face is covering, like, okay, most of the TV or something, you have like face near the camera, right, and
Mm-hmm.
your face is big. So the bigger your character is on your monitor, it's harder for the machine to process it, right? So we are doing things like differently. We are only switching for the skin shader in when we have like 100% sure. We are 100% sure that we have like cutscene. or we have like 2 or 3 characters in the scene. But when we have like 10 characters, you're unable to have skin shader on all the faces, because they are if they are using of your monitor, you will have like 10 FPS, no matter what your card is. So that's why the frog was 2 times bigger than the like first character, right? So it was 2 times bigger probably. So he was like covering like half of the screen mostly. So on the PS4 we got 2 FPS.
Got it.
That's why we need to change it for like
From Demi. And Demi was wondering, number one, does CD Projekt Red look for artists out of Poland? Where do you hire from?
We are hiring from around the world.
Got it.
We got people from USA, from Europe, from Asia also.
And where are you guys located in Poland?
We are located in Warsaw.
Warsaw.
So it's capital city of the Poland. It's really good.
Okay, great. God, that would be a brilliant place to be. You're so close to Croatia, Austria. He's asking for advice transitioning from visual effects to games.
It's a very hard decision, to be honest.
Yeah.
But first of all, prepare portfolio for the company that you would love to work, and think about it. Like, think about your future, what kind of skills you need to develop and you want to develop, and then choose the company you would love to work. And after you will choose the company, just stick to it and create portfolio for this specific company. So if it's Blizzard or something, don't do, I don't know, cars or something, right? Do orcs, do creatures, do characters, but in their art style, right? So if you're looking for the specific job, think about your portfolio to be created specifically for the company you want to work in.
That's great advice. That's actually exactly what we do in the character artist boot camp, is just decide that in the beginning and create for that. Because we were hearing, that Blizzard wants to see Blizzard work. They don't want to see Naughty Dog. So that's fantastic. Demi is asking a question. Have you ever had an extremely bleak time, just a sucky time as an artist? And what was some of the things that got you, through it?
Of course, I got this bleaky time all the time. It's exactly what you have when you are an artist. You need to struggle all the time to sit after work or after school or after your life and sit there and work on your stuff. So it will never get easier, right? You will always need to do your job. Like, you need to just sit there in front of your computer and do your work and do your personal stuff, because the most of the time your personal stuff will get you where you want to be, not your work stuff, not your professional stuff. Of course, professional stuff is also very, very, very you need to have it, right? But you need to also know that when somebody like when I'm posting this frog, it's not only my work, right? It's work of the whole team, because I got like other character artists to help me, other concept artists to help me. My lead is also thinking about the character. He's giving me a tips. Maybe we should do something like this. So it's not my work, actually. It's work of the team. So when you see this guy, this is my work, right? And this is not my work. And this is my work. And this is my work. And this is not my work. I did it, but I did it in the team. So most of the people are also creating this kind of stuff. I'm doing it by hand, but but the tips that I'm taking, like, when I'm stuck with something, I just go to my friend and ask, can you see this, and can you help me with this, because I think it's not looking good. And he's like, okay, let me give me the screenshot, and he's doing the overpaint and giving it to me, and I can do things faster and better than I would do them inside of my house alone, right?
We're going to run out of time. So I see two questions. One of them from David is asking, when it comes to texturing, what programs do you use?
I used Madbox. Then I used Photoshop with Madbox, and now I'm using only Painter.
Only Painter? Substance Painter, you mean?
Substance Painter, I mean, yeah.
Okay, great. That's awesome. So the 3D is the aspect that's important to you in painting directly onto UVs.
Yes.
Okay. So Joey's asking a question. It's actually come up a couple of times. So is there a future for sculpting humans in ZBrush, or will 3D scans and cleaning it up be something that's more common?
I don't think that we will ever be able to scan somebody and put them in the game without changing the face. So always when you are getting the scan, because the scans are generic. I don't know if you got this feeling when some of the games are using only scans, the faces, okay, they are realistic, but I think they are more going into the uncanny valley and are like, they are not real. But when the artist is like tweaking a little bit the face, and it's not the perfect face, it's not like super realistic, but somewhere in between, like between the realistic and between the maybe cartoony something, and the character artist also can give the soul to the face, like, because sometimes you just want to have like, random guy from the street. You need to give personality for the character, right? And to give personality, you need to create a specific face. This is I think it's like that. So it's never going to be only scans if you want to do something good, but it's good to have scans just to have like reference, because it's the scans are the best reference there is. So if you are thinking about using the scans in your like, you are doing something from the sphere, but the scan is open in the ZBrush, but you are not projecting it, but you are looking at it like a reference, right? I think is the best way to sculpt the face.
Awesome. All right, that's great. So let's end this with one last question. Now, somebody wants to be a character artist. They want to do what you do. What is one thing, assuming, we're talking to people at multiple levels of ability, but what is one thing that they should do this week that if they just keep up this one habit, they'll significantly increase their chances of getting a job?
Everyday work. Like even 2 hours per day. Of course, if you are working, right? But if you got more time, like you are not working, you are living with your parents or something, and you have like free time in your day, just use it, and don't rush to get the job. Don't rush. If you love what you do, it's really your stuff. So just try to do it every day. I know it's hard because I'm unable to do it every day, because sometimes you just come from the work or school and you are like, okay, enough of the PC for today. I'm unable to do it, and you're playing the game. It's okay. But whenever you have like free time and you don't know what you do with it, just open ZBrush and do work. Do I don't know, just do face, do caricature, or do cartoon face, or something small. You don't need to create the full characters, just something small, but every day, and you will get there. I'm 100% sure everybody will get there.
Awesome.
But you need to spend your time in front of the desk. There is no other way.
That's great. All right, Marcin, thank you so much for taking the time. I know we went a little over, but thank you for being so generous with your
Thank you.
knowledge
Thank
and
you. Thank you. Thank you, guys.
your experience, all of that. It's really awesome to hear from you. Yeah, and thank you guys for coming in over there at Artist Wake on the studio and for joining us here live. If you guys got more questions from Marcin, feel free to send them to me, and I will see what I can get answered, and we'll go from there. So thanks everybody for this. Check the Artist Awake; you'll be able to see the replay there in the network.